What's up, y'all? Welcome to the channel. My name is Corey, and I just wanted to start this YouTube channel so I could talk a little bit about my love for football. I am a Jaguars fan, and I am a Florida State fan. And as most of you guys know by now, if you follow football, being a Florida State fan and a Jaguars fan is not an easy lifestyle to approach, right? It's something that is very hard to manage because constantly in your emotions. Being a football fan, I know some people don't take it too seriously, but I'm from Jacksonville, Florida. I've been a Jaguars fan basically since I can remember, as soon as I was old enough to understand what football was. And same with Florida State. My family's always been diehard on those teams. We've gone to plenty of games over the years, especially Florida State. That was something that was really close to me. My dream was to play for Florida State when I was a kid, and, it didn't happen. I got into music. I've always followed it. I've always had a passion for it. And a lot of the people I know in my life, they got passions for their teams. I now live near Philly, and, the Eagles, for example. They got a diehard fan base. And I do like the Eagles. That NFC versus AFC, I can have kind of a love for the Eagles too. But down in my heart, it's something that I can't let go of the Jaguars. I can't stop supporting this team, and I'm going to be outspoken about it. I'm going to stand by them with pride and tell people, look, you don't know what the potential of this team is. Watch out. One day we're going to win a Super Bowl, and I'm going to be there screaming the Jaguars on, cheering them on the field, watching them win a Super Bowl, right? Now, Florida State, they've won some championships, but, we'll talk about Florida State a little bit more because they're already 0-2 on the season, right? They've got some problems. College football is going through a big transition right now. Teams are experiencing that. We saw that with Notre Dame losing to NIU as well. The transfer portal, the NIL deals, there's a lot of weird stuff happening in college football that I think we just got to adjust. We got to see the long-term effects with it. So we'll see what happens with Florida State during Memphis. I'll probably make a video about that game, especially if it's even close. If we lose the game, I'll definitely make a video. If we blow them out, maybe I'll make a quick statement, something like that. But I just wanted to get started because a couple weeks ago I was thinking, I just have these conversations with people online, but I finally wanted to make some videos because the way the Jaguars came out today and was whooping up on the Miami Dolphins in the second quarter, it was just the first half in general was beautiful. It was like, the touch pass to Brian Thomas Jr. in the corner of the end zone, gorgeous toe tap right over Jalen Ramsey. It was like beautiful. Wow, it's a work of art, right? We're running the ball pretty good, especially Tank Bigsby. I was surprised on that. And I thought the Jaguars look great. They look great all preseason. This is what I'm waiting for, is to see this team come out and play a team like the Miami Dolphins, right? One of these explosive offenses, a team that's kind of that new up-and-coming team that people starting to put on their radar and be like, the Dolphins aren't an automatic win anymore, just like the Jaguars, right? They're going to put up a fight, but, you should get by them. It's not like a huge, huge worry. But the way we played in the first half, I had so much faith in the Jaguars, man. I did not think that the second half was going to go as south as it did, right? So we're going to talk about it a little bit. I think the biggest problem for me that I had with the Jaguars coming out, actually, before we get to the problems, let's talk about the positives. I will say I think Trevor Lawrence personally looked great today. I think a lot of people are going to blame him in the second half, saying, man, he got sacked twice. He didn't look great. Some of his passes were getting drops. The drops aren't his fault. They're hitting guys in the hands. Christian Kirk had a couple drops, should have caught those balls. Evan Ingram, same thing, had a couple catches he should have made, but they were a little bit more contested. They didn't hit him directly in the hands, or he was a little off balance on those. And then same thing, Travis Etienne went out and fumbled in the second half. That was a big play that didn't work out. But other than that, the running game looked good. So it's not like I'm going to blame Travis Etienne's fumble as the reason we lost this game. So as the positives go, I want to say Brian Thomas Jr. looked good. We had Trevor Lawrence balling out for a little bit in the first half, especially when they let him do that. And we'll talk about that in a minute. And then the run game looked pretty good. And the defense looked great. The defense was running Tua all over the place. They looked really good. But it seemed like, now getting to the negatives, when we came out in the second half, it didn't look like the same team. Now, it didn't look like a different team, like sometimes when a team really goes south and they just start to, get discombobulated and they start falling apart. But something about the way the Jaguars were playing in the first half just felt like they had a belief, man, we're good. We're going to get out here and do this thing. Like, we got the swag. We're going to really put it to Miami and make a statement here. And I felt like that went all the way through the team, right? That pierced through the coaches, and they shot that straight into the players, and then it hit the field, and it was like Miami could not stop us. Now, we had a couple drives that maybe stalled because of a penalty or stuff. Those things happen. You can't win every drive and go crazy. I mean, Miami put up 70, a year or two ago, but that doesn't happen often. Like, those are fluke games, in my opinion, even though it's cool if you're a fan of that team to see that happen. But it's not like a standard thing, especially in the NFL. You're not going to get these 52 to 55 games. Like, it's not the way we put up points in the NFL. So You got to take points when you can get them. You got to go out and execute. You got to go out and make some creative play decisions, some creative play calling, and really do something that's going to put you ahead of the other team on the field, right? And Jaguars were doing that in the first half. They looked great. I don't know exactly what the individual stats were per half, but getting into the second half, I'm looking at it like, man, the Jaguars had that feeling coming right out of the gate in the second half where it was like, okay, we're taking a couple shots, a couple little chances here, but like nothing was like really standing out as like us trying to make some big plays, right? We had a couple passes, one to Christian Kirk, one to Gabe Davis, a couple things that were, like 20-yard plus passes, but once we got into the second half, it felt like we were just trying to run clock, run the ball. If we had to punt, we just wanted to pin them back and just hold the lead. And it's like you can't do that with a team like Miami, man. And we saw that, right? So when Travis Etienne fumbled, for example, there's like 2 minutes left in the third quarter. They come out next play and hit that 80-yard bomb to Tyreek Hill. And it's like, you got to expect that, man. Like, now, that's what I can put on Travis Etienne. He cost us 7 points, yes. But we weren't down at that point. We were still, it's 14-17. We still had a chance to come out and put more points on the board and take our lead to the next level. And what do? They run the ball a bunch. Like, you got Trevor Lawrence out here balling out in the first half. You can't just take that away from him. And then that was kind of the problem later on in the fourth quarter. Suddenly, we're tied, and it's like, all right, we need Trevor to come out and do something. He gets sacked twice because he's gone cold. Like, you've taken away his arm that you've been utilizing for most of the game because you want to run more clock and hopefully, put Miami in a situation where they got to go and win the game. And guess what? They did. They had the ball last. They kicked the field goal, and they won because of our stupidity in the coaching. And I think that's really what failed us today is the coaching more than any player, more than any situation on the field. Like, I know you could put it on ETN a little bit, but I don't think ETN is one of those fumble machines, right? He just got in a bad place, wrong time. It was a good defensive play. I mean, he punched the ball like directly, like Superman punched it. Like, it was fantastic, but that's something for me. Like, I'm not scared of Trevor throwing interceptions, man. Trevor looks like he's pretty on point with his throws right now. He even had a nice run for a first down that I thought was great because it looked like he was not indecisive about it. He looked, saw nothing, saw a lane, ran, picked up first down, bada bing, bada boom. Like, I like that about Trevor. And there's times that I'm also doubting Trevor. Like, in the last couple of years, like there are some games where I'm like, man, Trevor, you got to do more. But you look at Trevor's stats, right? Trevor didn't even throw as many passes, 21 passes, as Tua had completions. Tua had 23 completions. What do you think's going to happen in a game where the disparity is, 50 rushing yards, I think, difference? I think they had, like 80 rushing yards, and we had like 123. But their receiving yards was like twice our receiving yards, which is like 160 yards. So when somebody else is going to get an extra almost 200 yards out of their passing game because you let the quarterback go out and ball out, what do you think's going to happen? Like, the coaches got to know that. And what makes me nervous is that during the press conference, I don't know if anyone asked the question or if they're just keeping a little hush-hush, or we don't know if it's a combination, but no one's really talking about who the play callers are right now. And even though it's only the first game, I get it. We're not, like, fretting. I mean, we got, the Browns next week, and the Browns looked absolutely god-awful against the Cowboys today. And maybe that's just Deshaun Watson's a little rusty. I don't know. I'm hoping that's what it is because they still got Amari Cooper. They still got some good players. Or maybe the Cowboys are just that good. I mean, I don't know. But for the Jaguars, we looked great in the first half and came out in the second half, and it was like we were just trying to hold on for dear life to try and not lose this game. I mean, we didn't score any points in the second half. Like, that's just a terrible thing to do. And so if I'm looking at some of these stats, I mean, again, Trevor Lawrence, 162 yards, a touchdown, 12 for 21. 12 for 21, man. That's terrible as a quarterback leading a team of his caliber. He's our generational quarterback. He is literally our franchise quarterback. You let him throw the ball 20 times? Like, guys, who's coaching this? Who, especially for me, I can't imagine it's Doug Peterson. He's a quarterback. So I just don't get that, right? And then at the same time, 24 carries. 24 different carries. We had 12 and 12, Travis Etienne and Bigsby. You got 73 yards for Bigsby, 44 for Travis Etienne. Why do we run the ball more than we throw it? That doesn't make any sense to me. Even with the extra runs that we got out of it, we still barely got over 100 yards rushing. Why are we rushing the ball? Like, not to say we shouldn't rush the ball on some downs, but be creative with it. Like that fourth down that we did not convert, I know a lot of people are pissed off about that too. I don't see the problem in going for it on 4th and 1 on your own 40. I understand what people are saying. Trust me, I get it. It's the idea that if you don't make it, they basically get a field goal out of it. I get it. But you got to have some creative play calling. You got to have something that's not just a jet sweep to the side and then Travis Etienne's running around for dear life. He's not a speed guy. Like, he's fast once he gets into crazy open space, but he's not Tyreek Hill. Like, he's not Xavier Worthy. He's not going to go off and just blow by people. You got to get him some blocks. He's got to get some open field, and then, yeah, he can be a little bit of a wiggler because he's small, he's compact, he's a little hard to tackle, he's a little slippery. But, man, 4th and 1, you don't have something that's like, a little play action, a little option, something with a little bit more, zest to the play call. Because otherwise, it's like, what are you doing? And then vice versa. In the second half, we're throwing screen passes, bad screen passes that are getting blown up by the defense. They're rushing us. We're trying to do these backwards passes behind the line of scrimmage. Dude, throw the ball downfield. Like, we just saw what's going on with Tyreek Hill. We saw the big play to Jaden Waddle. Like, what are we doing? Like, we're not even trying to get any big plays. We're playing as conservative as you can possibly play. And so then when you're looking at it, like Gabe Davis, he had 3 targets. He got 62 yards. That's not bad. Now, for me, I like Gabe Davis. I think he's a beast, personally. I thought he was better than Stephon Diggs for the Bills. And we did not hardly utilize him as much as we could have. He had a great route earlier, a stop route, 20 yards, easy. Bada bing, bada boom. Keep doing that. If it's working, keep doing it. I don't understand. Like, who's the play caller here? Who's the guy who goes, you know what, that worked. Let's not do it again. Like, what kind of mentality is that? Like, what are we doing? And then Brian Thomas Jr., same thing. They really started getting him involved, but it's almost like they were like, we just want to get him a touchdown, then he can basically just sit the rest of the game. Like, we don't need him that much. What? Like, dude, he drew the pass interference from Jalen Ramsey. He was shredding Jalen Ramsey, who is the highest paid cornerback in the league, mind you. And it's like, bro, like, what? Why aren't we utilizing and building some confidence on these receivers? Because they're balling out. Now, Christian Kirk, he had the one big catch, 30 yards, but then he dropped a couple. And again, he had an injury last year. He's coming back. He's doing his thing, but the people I was surprised to not see was Evan Ingram. Like, Evan Ingram barely got targeted. And he did drop a couple too, but again, he's getting hit when the ball's getting there. Like, it was good defense as well. It wasn't just him dropping passes like Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk basically got hit in the face with the ball and dropped it. Like, you can't drop that, bro. Like, that's as easy as it gets, man. I mean, he could have probably put it in the numbers, but like, you got to catch that. You got both hands on it and no contesting. Dude, you got to catch it. That people like that, like that's why you ain't on defense. That's what we say. Like, if you were catching that, you would have intercepted that ball. You'd be on defense, bro. And then Parker Washington, he had a fumble that almost got had us in another sticky situation. Luckily, that didn't go anywhere. So I like to just wipe those out of the situation. But other than that, I mean, the defense looked great. Everybody there was looking good. Everybody was making plays. Trayvon Walker especially, man. Trayvon Walker looked great. I know he was a little quiet last year, but now I think him and Josh Hines-Allen they kind of got a little bit of a thing going. And that's a big thing for me. You need some chemistry here, right? That's the whole point. So that's what I'm saying is in the first half, it felt like we had some chemistry. We were playing as a team. We were looking at the bigger picture. And I don't know what happened after halftime. I don't know if it's just the lack of passion from Doug. I don't know if it's the play calling or somebody just kind of disconnected from what we were doing here and the identity that we were developing in that first half. But I look at the Super Bowl that Doug Peterson did win. After halftime, he didn't take his foot off the throat, man. He was out there putting it to the Patriots the entire game. Every play call that he could, that was a creative play call. That was a tough choice. Him and Nick Foles knew that they wanted to do it. And if one of them was indecisive, the other one had the confidence to go, nah, man, it's going to work. And it did. Like, you need somebody that's going to pat you on the back and go, look, let's try this. And if are you sure? Yeah, I'm sure. Let's do it. It's going to work. You need that confidence. That's what made Tom Brady and Bill Belichick so good. You think Belichick? No, you see it when they split. It's like Belichick's got the power to call the plays, but Brady's got the power to execute them. And if you are not somebody out there that's got the confidence on either side that that's going to work, or that the game plan that you're trying to deliver is going to work, and somebody's not going to be able to speak up and say, yo, this isn't working, we need to change something, then you got a big problem here. Because, again, we'll look at the Dolphins stats now. 23 of 37 for Tua Tagovailoa, 338 yards and an 80-yard touchdown to Tyreek Hill. Like, that right there is enough stat line to say, damn, they got more yards. He passed for more yards than we had total yards, Now, again, you've got Devin A-Chain had a couple big plays. He had 10 carries. Even some of these other guys, I mean, they barely rushed. Nobody rushed for more than 30 yards on the team. Devin A-Chain was averaging 2.4 yards a carry. Like, you're holding him. You're holding him on a rush defense. It's just, then you let Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle go off for 130 yards and 109 yards and single-digit catches. Now, it's all right if you go a couple big plays, but you want them to hit 10, 12 catches before they get those kind of numbers, man. Not when 5 and 7 catches. Like Tyreek Hill was quiet other than that big play. And that's where it's like, yo, that's still the defense. That's still, you got to disrupt. You got to be able to stay man to man. You guys got to ball out. You guys got to, like, man up, suit up for this shit. Like, go all out for that. Like, take some chances. Like, things are going to happen. I get it. And a big play is going to happen. Like, I'm not worried about that. But that's what, for me, was lacking in the second half. Where were our big plays? Where was that motivation to go out and do something like that? Like, we didn't have anybody running those routes. We didn't have anybody going out for any big plays. We're doing, like, screen passes and, like, these little dumb out routes. Like, dude, we got to do something better than that, man. Whoever was play calling, it was absolute garbage. And then you're looking at it, like, to be honest, they only had 6 receivers even catch a pass. Now, don't get me wrong, that's still a lot, but 3 of the receivers caught 2 or less passes for a total of 23 yards. So between 3 guys, we got smoked for 20 points or 17 points in the second half. Like, it's ridiculous. And especially when 3 of those guys are averaging, over 10 yards a catch. Like, you guys got to start trying to approach that kind of a game plan. Like, the Dolphins looked at it and said, look, it's not working on the ground. Like, we're going to need to do something more than just little screen passes. Like, they're flying to the ball. They know what they're doing. We're going to keep doing a couple of these, and we're going to ball out, let Tua go back to his Alabama days. Like, we're going to do some of that. And that's what I don't understand is, you look at Trevor Lawrence back at Clemson. Like, and maybe that's because Doug didn't draft him. That was Urban Meyer, some of those guys. But Trevor Lawrence was balling out in Clemson. Travis Etienne was playing good at Clemson. But it was a different mentality. Like, it was one of those, man, they'd be down by a touchdown. Next play, Trevor Lawrence hitting a 60-yard touchdown pass. Like, there was never this moment of, like, we got to do these slow, methodical drives and make sure we establish this and establish that. Like, I get it where we're coming from, but, man, it's not the age of football anymore. You look at the Baltimore Ravens. You look at the Kansas City Chiefs. It's much more gadgetry. It's much more flash and a little bit of, smoke and mirrors here. Like, you look at people like Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, some of these good, even C.J. Stroud, to be honest, he's only in his second year and he's able to accomplish this pretty well. Some of these guys, they have the vision on the field to where it's the athleticism that needs to come out. These guys are leaders. These guys look at it like, yo, I'm either going to throw to my best guy. I'm going to buy some time, run around. I'm going to make sure that my team, my offensive line, all these people do their jobs, and we're going to win this game. Like, you got to have some confidence there. And I will say, for us, offensive line, defensive line, man, it's a chess match, right? Like, every game of football is a chess match. You got your pawns against pawns, and then you've got all of your better pieces, all your points pieces behind that. So if your pawns aren't playing good or your pawns aren't in the right positions, your other pieces just are going to suffer as well. Because you have to have some kind of scheme. You got to have some kind of tactic. That's what makes a game like chess so good, is because it's so simple. It's such a simple game with simple mythology behind the way you play it. And it's like football is kind of the same way. I mean, they changed some things, like the kickoff's different. Yeah, sure, I get it. But just because the kickoff's different and it doesn't approach your game plan. So if you guys start your first half with a certain game plan, and sure, you might have some scripted drives, I get it, but you got to keep the same thing that's working into the second half. So for me, I think it's just coaching that came down and lost this game. I'm really hoping we can bounce back during the Browns because, man, the Browns look terrible today, but we did too in the second half. Like, and as a Jaguars fan, you get used to losing. It's not like this is a new thing for us. We're pretty used to losing. I mean, we've lost 5 out of the last 6 games we've played going back to November, and the only team we beat was the Carolina Panthers in the last 6 games. Carolina Panthers couldn't beat a high school or middle school team right now. That's the only team we have beaten since November 2023. No. Yeah, November 2023. Sorry, I keep forgetting we're in 2024. November. We're almost a year since the Jaguars have won a game. Now, I know I'm getting a little bit, wilding out, but at the same time, man, to have that carry over into the next year and feel like we're just right back where we left off, like, that's not good when you've made as many changes as we made. Something's got to give here. We've got some new talent. Like, we've got some new receivers. And, for me, like, Brian Thomas Jr. already looking better than Calvin Ridley did in our offense. Gabe Davis already making an impact. But then you're suffering by not including Evan Ingram. You're not, given the scheme. Like, Tank Bigsby was the good running back. Like, get him out in some space. Like, keep handing the ball to him. Like, I get it. You were like, we're going to give it to Travis. He's our number one. I get that. But Travis isn't going to lose any confidence. He wants to win just as bad as we do. And still put him out there, but, like, do some gadgetry, man. Do some reverses. Where's the real creative play calling here? So I personally, I'm not too worried about it. I mean, I'm pissed off, and I think it's fucking stupid that we lost this game because we should have fucking won this game had we just gone out. I mean, the Saints were up by 30 by halftime, man. You got to have that mentality, bro. Like, come out for blood, win the game. This is football. This ain't some gentleman bullshit. Like, yeah, you're going to shake hands after the game, but, like, beat the other team's ass for 60 minutes, and then you can shake hands and be like, cool, that was a football game. We'll see you, I'll call you tomorrow if you're homies with some of them. I don't give a fuck. It's so annoying to see us as fans care and be able to sit on my couch and watch the game and be like, damn, like how are the coaches that are getting paid millions of dollars, the players getting paid millions of dollars, not able to see this stuff? Now, the players, I mean, they're the ones putting in the effort, really. They're the ones really out there actually fighting in the trenches. And I get it. It's not as easy as it looks. It's definitely a lot harder than it looks, to be honest. But you look at the guys who are consistent, the Tyreek Hills, the Jalen Waddles, like, they don't get beat. They just always, every game, they produce exactly like they're supposed to. And you got to do that too as a football team. As a whole team, you got to be able to do that shit. And when we're not letting our generational quarterback throw more than 20 times, I think that's just garbage. And he's only completing 12 of them. It's just garbage. Like, what do you think's going to happen? So I really hope during practice this week we can get back to some fundamentals. The play callers can look at some things that worked and didn't work. Hopefully they look at these stats and go, man, like, first half, we look great. Because and we weren't set up. It's not like we're starting on their side of the field getting turnovers or anything. They're punting to us. We're down on our 4-yard line. And we're able to drive 90 yards. But that's going off of Trevor Lawrence. That's going off of good play calling. That's going off a little bit of schemes and some downfield passing. And then opening up the run game. Like, these things are correlated, and it's like, it feels like sometimes I'm taking crazy pills because I'm watching on the couch going, why would you run that play, or why are you doing that? Like, every first down you're just going to run up the middle. Eventually they're going to stop it, like, and it's not even going to take a while. They'll stop it like in 2 plays, in 2 drives. Like, all you got to do is convert 2 first downs, then they'll stop it. And then you're screwed. Then you're just going to waste a first down. Like, you got to do something different. Have some creativity, man. Because otherwise, yeah, there's just not much that you're going to get out of this team if that's what you're looking at, And I think for us, we had a couple moments. We probably could have had a couple turnovers, probably could have had a couple interceptions, things like that. But sometimes that's the way the ball rolls. Travis Etienne, that's the whole point. Like, he was on his way to scoring a touchdown there. Like, that fumble, it happens. It's just one of those things where, had we had the right coaching mentality, I think after that, we could have just erased that fumble altogether. Tyreek Hill goes and scores that touchdown, but it's one of those, like, you got to man up and be like, nah, boy, we got this. Like, it's not about some, oh, shit, here they come, which is exactly what every Jaguars fan sitting at home was going, oh, shit, here they come. This is it. This is where we cave because we suck, because whoever's in charge can't fucking do this. And vice versa. I'll say there's also an uphill battle against it sometimes. Like, I'm sitting there watching Miami hold almost every play. Their O-line was holding almost every play. But you can say that about just about any game in football. Like, the refs see what they want to see. We had some bad penalties thrown against us. We had some dumb moments where it's like, okay. And then there's some that's undeniable. Like, we jump off sides. Cool. That's got video footage. We can see that. They don't like to show holds, like, unless it gets called. They don't want to show you a moment where it's like, okay, there's that, and vice versa. Kansas City, we saw the same thing, man. They be jumping early and stuff. Like, the refs be kind of influxing the game a little bit, but you can't let that get to you. It's just funny that I can sit here and watch and be like, damn, that's a hold, that's a hold, that's a hold, and then watch the same thing and be like, damn, this scheme, look, they got this guy wide open on the side of the field, this guy over here. And, as a quarterback, I get it if the quarterback's going through his read and his fourth read is wide open, but he ain't got there yet and he's getting pressure. Like, I put those things together, I play Madden too, I get it. It's just one of those things where you got to stay aware of these elements in the game. And, like, sometimes the adrenaline, the passion, and what these guys are going for, you need some cool, calm, collected people. That's what made Tom Brady so good, was that he was pissed off and he had things in his head that he was, using as motivation, but he didn't let that get to a point where it was detrimental or negative to the team. And Tom Brady wasn't perfect. He lost plenty of Super Bowls. He didn't even make the playoffs most of the time, to be honest, especially until later on in his career, because he started to focus on what was working so well. That's the thing that made him so good, was his ability to go back and learn from his mistakes. And look at it and say, I won't do this again. And he wouldn't. He would come back and always be able to actually win. Even when Philly beat him, man, it wasn't Tom Brady's day that day. They tried to run the Philly special themselves. Didn't work. And then Nick Foles goes out and does it, and suddenly he's Big Dick Nick in Philly. It's like one of those things, man. You gotta just take your chances too. And sometimes you gotta run with them. And for us, we had Miami on the ropes. Miami knew we had their number, and then we just played like scared little bitches the rest of the game, man. That shit's frustrating. That's what's frustrating as a fan base, is to see us go, bruh, why are you guys playing scared? You have nothing to lose. We've never made it to a Super Bowl. Like, fucking go out there and do something. That's why I don't mind the fourth down conversion. Like, I get we didn't get it. The problem I have is with the play call. Otherwise, I'm like, dude, we have nothing to lose. We're the fucking Jacksonville Jaguars. For like the last 20 years, we've been laughing stocks. This is our 30th season. This is us just taking pride in the idea that we're, now a true solidified franchise in the scheme of the NFL history. For me, at least, it's one of those things like the Texans are newer than us. The Texans look great. They got a good quarterback. They got all the right pieces. They got a good coach. Like, they're making the right decisions. They came back and won that game today. And now if you look at the next couple games, I'm like, okay, hopefully we beat the Browns. But even then, who knows? The Browns got their ass kicked so bad, they might come out all pissed off. And then I think in a couple weeks we got the Bills after that. The Bills, Josh Allen looks fucking scary. And then after that, the Texans and the Colts, I believe. So it's like we got quite a few hard opponents. And to be honest, Anthony Richardson's nothing to frown upon either. Like, that dude's a beast too. Like, there's a lot of these teams that are out here balling out. Anthony Richardson threw like a 70-yard touchdown pass in the air today from like the 30 to like the 1-yard line. Like, that's incredible, bro. Like, so we got to get some stuff figured out, especially if Trevor Lawrence and all our players, if they're as good as everyone says they are, because right now we don't look that good after the second half there. Where we left off, we don't look good. I think the last couple plays we ran were sacks. So that's what I like to say is you're only as good as your last drive. If your last drive was garbage, well, then you left off being garbage. So we'll see what they can do, because otherwise, man, I'm a Jaguar for life. It's just right now, Florida State starting 0-2, losing to Boston College and Georgia Tech, and then my Jags losing the season opener. Now, hopefully, we don't lose the home opener, but if we go 0-2, man, I'm thinking we're starting the season 0-4, 0-5 possibly. Like, it's a scary thought, because realistically, we sit here for months and months and months as fans. We wait, we buy the merchandise, we can't influence the game. But we can just sit here and make these videos, put them on the internet, and hope to God somehow the word of our mouths and our discomfort and our displeasure gets to the players and the coaches somehow. Hopefully that somebody walks in and says, bro, you know how many videos I've seen online of people ranting about how bad y'all are? And I know those guys would be like, I don't listen to that shit. Well, it's like, fucking listen, though. Like, these people love you. These people want to see you succeed more than you want to fucking succeed. And that's tragic, man. That's sad. Like, what the fuck is wrong with y'all? So it's all right. For first video, I'm going off a little bit. I'm just saying, you can't have somebody like Tua Tagovailoa go out there and throw twice as many passes as a generational quarterback like Trevor Lawrence and expect to win the game as the Jaguars when they got weapons like Tyreek Hill, bro. You got to match that. You don't bring a fucking butter knife to a sword party. And then especially if you get the butter knife, a couple good stabs in there and go, oh, it'll be all right. No, man, the motherfucker, like, come on. Like, it's crazy. So, you know what? We'll recollect after all this. We'll take this week. We'll look at it. We got Florida State, Memphis, and then we got Jaguars, Browns. So, yeah, hopefully I'll make this like at least a thing every Monday, something like that, depending on my schedule. Maybe even every Sunday if I can, if I get enough time. So, yeah, I appreciate y'all stopping by. If you watch this whole thing, please subscribe to the channel. I know this was a long rant. Let me know what you thought about the game down in the comments. Let me know what your approach to the coaching would be, what you would try and change going into next week. Any of that stuff, I'd love to talk about it. It's just something as a Jaguars fan, man, we got to get it off our chest, because otherwise it's driving me crazy being able to talk to maybe 3 or 4 people, and most of my friends are Philly fans, and then, we started losing into last season. Man, fuck you. Y'all still got to the playoffs for the last, 4 straight years. Fucking suck my dick, man. Leave me alone. Like, you don't know what pain is until you're a fucking Jaguars fan, bro. Or a Vegas fan, or a fucking Carolina Panthers fan. Like, get out of here. Like, everybody knows that these teams should be good. And for us, it's even worse. We got good players. We just can't seem to get luck on our side. I don't know why God hates us so much, but Jesus fuck, man. Like, let's see the Jaguars actually come out and do something. Because even last year, I went to the fucking Bucks game. It wasn't even sad. It was like the Bucks fans were cool, because they're like, yo, you guys got good players. Like, we like the Jaguars. We don't even have a dog in this fight. You guys, different divisions, everything. It's just sad. Like, you guys have so much potential, and you keep losing. You're not even gonna make the playoffs. I'm like, damn, it's true. We're not even gonna make the playoffs because it's like our own fucking players can't seem to get their head out of their ass and realize how much our fan base wants to see them succeed. That they don't see how much they need to succeed. Like, they need to do that. Not just for us, but for them. Like, this is something where you guys could have a dynasty, a legacy right here, but you guys just can't accomplish that shit. So, If we can't do it, it's the coaching, in my opinion. We got the talent. Maybe we bring in Belichick next year. Maybe Shai Khan could pay some big money for somebody like that. I mean, they just got Harbaugh, over in LA. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But you guys take it easy. See y'all on the next one. Go Jaguars. Go Knowles. Peace out.